really the two things I want to say are, you got to be the hardest workers in the room, and don't fuck the opportunity up. Instead of telling you what I think you should be doing, or how you could be better, or I thought, well, let me just speak from the heart, speak from my gut, and really not have anything prepared, but just tell you what's worked for me. And maybe some of the stuff that's worked for me might work for you now, currently, presently, as you guys have your goals and ambitions, NBA championship, MVPs in this room, things like that. But then further on down the line, as you guys continue to live your life. The first thing I just want to say is, this idea and this notion that you can be anything you want, you can accomplish anything you want, right? We hear that. You've heard that from the time you were little boys. You hear that now. You're already incredibly accomplished. You can win an NBA championship, MVP of the league. You could become president. You could become governor. You could be in entertainment. You could do Charles, and you could do Shaq. You could do that. You could do whatever you want to do. You guys know that. The thing that has worked for me is to remember the hard times. So, and I'm sure you guys all have your processes, and again, I'm gonna tell you what's worked for me. So before a big movie comes out, back in the days when I was wrestling with WWE, a WrestleMania match, anything big that would happen, I would always take a moment, and I'd just remind myself, all right, I was evicted when I was 14. We were kicked off the island. We couldn't live in Hawaii. Had no place to live. A lot of shit happened then when I moved to Nashville. I was arrested multiple times by the time I was 16 years old. Like, I remember that. If I were playing on this team, which my skills are, what's that term? Oh, the shits. So I would play. But before I lace up, before I get on the court, before I play in these big games, before I go to the Staples Center, where history, those are historic walls there at the Staples Center. I would remember that, and it allows me then to be present in the moment and understand, holy shit, the stuff I have around me right now, this is the shit that I dreamed of when I was a kid. I am here. I played for University of Miami, played with great teams. Warren Sapp, Ray Lewis, they were my teammates. They were balling. Warren Sapp was playing tight end that time. I was starting defensive tackle. Yeah. They moved him over to D-line. And he looked at me, he's like, yo, dude, I'm gonna take your spot. I said, you ain't taking my spot. He said, I'm gonna take your spot. I said, yeah. We battled, and he took my spot. Now you can imagine how that fucked with me, because there goes my opportunity. He went in, switched to defensive tackle, lit the world on fire. Well, what that did, it crushed me, it crushed my dreams. I had a piss poor senior year, zero production, no NFL, no combine invite, nothing. Finally went to the CFL, Calgary Stampeders, making $250 a week Canadian. Now, I had to send that shit home to my wife at that time. Had no money. So I remember that. When I got cut from Canada, I had $7 in my pocket. And I always tell that story. So now my production company is $7, advertising agency is $7, everything is $7. So I always remember that. What helps me is to keep the hard times in the front of my mind, because it allows me to go into these big moments that I've worked my ass off, and you guys have worked your ass off. It allows me to go into these big moments with a different perspective. What it also does for me, and again, this is what works for me. Like, I keep my back, excuse my language, my back is up against this motherfucker every day. It's against this fucking wall. Excuse my language. But it's up against this motherfucker because it's what I believe in. And when my back is against this motherfucker, then there's nowhere to go. But that way. That's it. So I feel like this could be something, an ideology and mindset that could help you, if you look at it that way. Because you made it already. We made it. We're successful boys, and we're lucky boys to be where we're at. Oh, you guys made it. Everybody's rich in the room. Nobody's gonna get evicted anymore. Anything you got, there's no more money problems, right? You got a lot of hands out now. Hey, can I get a little bit? Can I get a little bit? Right, that happens. But when you make it, For me, I need this. I need this. So every day, my back is up against this motherfucker. And this is how I operate. Now, doesn't mean you don't smile, doesn't mean you don't laugh and joke, right? You're happy, I'm a happy guy. But when it comes to business, and when it comes to executing, it's up against this. And I gotta go that way. And I don't give a fuck who is in front of me. They're not gonna stop me. I feel like for me, it feels seamless because you prepared for so long, but it's just like you guys prepping for a game. That's the fun part. That's where it's like, fuck, it's fun, man. People are paying their hard-earned dollars to come see you. They're cheering, they're going bananas, they're booing the shit out of you or on the road. That's fun. That's what you live for. I mean, that's the juice right there. The prep is where the character's made. And I just don't mean the character I play, I mean the character in here. So for me, the prep is getting with the director, getting with the producers, getting with the writers, so in essence, it's like getting with all your coaches and your different position coaches and all the meetings that you have to have, right? So that's the work you put in. The key for me was, where does it start? What's the anchor? What's the anchor? So I could have all these ambitions and you guys have all these ambitions, which is great. It's important. I'll play this role, you'll play that role. I'll execute this thing and it'll come out this summer. You guys will execute this thing during the summer, right, when it's time to really put in a lot more work. But the key with me is just always finding what the anchor is. And the fucking anchor is getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day before anybody else and grounding my thought process is in the no one will outwork me. No one. I love and I respect you guys. You motherfuckers won't outwork me. All starts with this. 2 hands. Anchor for me has always been the work in terms of the weight room training. So when I first started wrestling, I was 6 years old, rolling on the mats with my dad. My old man, a lot of you guys won't know this. Yeah, Rocky Johnson. My old man was Rocky Johnson. He was the first black WWF at that time. First black WWE tag team champions with Tony Atlas back in 1983. My uncles were the Wild Samoans. I come from a long line of pro wrestlers. But before the wrestling part happened, I was just in the gym putting in the work. At 6 years old, rolling around on the mats. And finally, when I could touch weights at 13, that's what I was doing. But the weight part for me and the gym part has always been, has to be the anchor. Look, boys, your body's your body, right? You're young now, you're balling, everything feels good. You have your little nicks and dings and all that shit. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have your surgeries. Hey, we all have it. But eventually, and I promise you this, the one thing that will never, ever, ever go away is you get your ass in that weight room and you put in the work. That's gonna happen when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. That never goes away. You get on the court, you shoot some shots, but you're gonna wind up right back in the weight room, right? Right back in your spot. Film gives me the biggest opportunity to make the biggest impact, global impact. I don't want to make small movies. I love and respect our movie business, but I want to make big movies that do well, and when they do well, it's not the money thing, because we have money, right? Money's good. Money's good, it ebbs and flows. It's the idea that I can impact as many people as possible with a big global movie. And when the global movie is touching $1 billion, that sounds good, right? It's good for the bank account, it's good for everybody involved, everybody's getting their piece of cake, it's great. But what that does do, I know I'm impacting people around the world by giving them some good entertainment, making them feel good, leaving the theater floating. So it's the same thing, right? When you guys have this bigger goal, say for example, when you become world champions again, as polarized as the sports world is, it's a fucking incredibly inspiring thing, even if they're not fans of your team. Even if they're not fans of your team. So think about that, when you guys do that, the impact that has, the ripple effect that has for the city of LA, California, the United States, the globe, little kids. Damn, I want to be that one day.